I did like have a couple questions that I did want to ask you.
Okay.
I like to just do a conversation, and if I have a question, it's like, okay, I'll have like maybe a question, and I'll sneak it in towards the end if we just go well. So one thing I definitely wanted to ask you is, tell me something you think I don't know about you. My sister of my, I guess, entire life. Yes. What's something you think I don't know about you?
Oh man, you should have sent me the questions before.
I just thought about this.
I don't think well on my feet.
Yeah.
Come on, Benny, man. The kid is a L7 weenie.
So you see what it looks like. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Don't want them to know we have television. Yeah.
No, just, you know, I've done productions before, so just, you know, trying to make sure the scene is set, I guess.
I guess for me, it's just, you know, when I do these kinds of things and I like sort of come into someone else's world, so to speak, I'm like, well, that's you, you know, that's your authentic you, which is all that I'm trying to absorb in that moment. So that's why I'm like, hey, whatever is up to you, whatever you want out or want to wear or want to talk about or whatever. So that's why I'm like, oh, it's whatever. Yeah. So
I got it.
Yeah, we're both in shower. We're good.
Okay.
So how you doing today? You okay?
I'm okay. I'm making it, you know, I'm on camera, you know, so.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot.
No, things are good. Just another Sunday, you know, hanging out.
Hanging out. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, what you been up to this week? Like, yeah,
man.
I hadn't talked to you since last Sunday, I think.
Yeah, what has been this week? Time just like escapes me day to day. But no, we went to see the Skyhawks on Thursday. Yeah.
What's that?
So they're apparently part of the NBA G League.
Oh, the Atlanta G League team. I didn't know we had a G League team.
Yeah, they play in College Park, so they're the College Park Skyhawks. They're owned by 2 Chainz, apparently. Because I think he used to be
in basketball.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Cooper School hosted an event and like got all these families tickets. Cooper loves basketball, so we went. But it was really cool. Like it's a smaller venue than State Farm, but it was really nice in there. It was cool. We had a good time.
Was it like a competitive game?
Yeah, the Skyhawks, they weren't doing so great, but I don't even know who won, but I'm assuming the other team won just based on
it's like
how it was going. Just based on how it was going, but no, it was cool. Like I would go back to another game there. I'm sure the tickets are cheaper than going to the Hawks too.
Like when when Sharif and I went with Mom and Selwyn to Florida that trip last year. Well, we were there because I was like, all right, we're going this weekend. What's going on in the city? And their minor league baseball team was having a game that first day. So I was saying to everyone, like, I want to go to a baseball game, you know? Like something I kind of wish I did more, like here. Like I haven't been to a Braves game in forever. Like I still haven't been in Battery Park.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, it was like, y'all want to go to the baseball game? They're like, yeah, I'll go to get the tickets. It's like $14 a ticket, and we were sitting right behind home plate, like literally maybe 10 seats up from home plate.
Oh, nice.
You know, it was like, this is awesome. You know, like it's a baseball game. They're pros.
Right.
You know, it's like it's a whole stadium. You know, with concessions and everything. It was cool, and yeah, it wasn't expensive.
Right.
You know, that was just something nice to do. But it's funny, I was talking to Sharif about this. I'm like, even when the tickets are cheap, I get mad if they don't check you for a ticket because they were kind of just letting people walk in. So it was like, all right, we got the tickets and everything, and then we go over, walk by the dude, and you're just kind of like, yeah. Like, you didn't really, like, people just walking by, like, yeah. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, well, whatever. It's all right. Yeah.
It's pretty low stakes for them.
Yeah, like, I mean, they have about, 5 baseball games a week almost, so they're like, if we don't get you today, we'll get you tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like, we're just glad people are showing up.
Right.
So, yeah.
But yeah, I if I had more time, I would take in more like just sort of low-level sports like that. Like, we have a lacrosse team. I never saw that.
Oh, we do?
They won the championship a few years ago. I remember seeing that, like, on a billboard, like, on 75. It's like, congratulations, Georgia, like, Stingers or something. I was like, oh, they won the championship. Our lacrosse team. We have a lacrosse team. I'm like, the people winning the championships, don't nobody know who they are.
Right.
Everybody's waiting on the Falcons. So yeah, but that was cool.
Have you made it to an Atlanta United game yet?
Still haven't.
Me either.
And it's supposed to be like, I haven't been in the stadium yet. Mercedes-Benz, like, it's supposed to be really nice in there and everything.
I've been to an event that was like, it was technically right outside the stadium, but we had access to go into the bathrooms inside the stadium. So, like, I was able to see it, but not, like, be fully in the stadium.
I haven't been in Mercedes-Benz,
Right.
but I've peed in Mercedes-Benz.
Right. Basically. So, it looks really nice. Like, I want to go to an event there, but, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's hard to find the time. Sometimes it just gets all blended together and everything. So y'all did that. What else been up to?
Man, I don't know. Like, this week, what else has happened? That was, like, probably the main thing going on this week. Other than that, we're, like, in the kindergarten search and experiencing all these, like, school lotteries that you don't get into.
Okay,
it's
so
super competitive.
Please explain. Please, like, because I remember I was listening to their podcast, Drunk Mondays, and they were talking about how expensive childcare is. I was like, damn, like, so explain that there's a lottery now to get into the schools?
So, not if you want to go to the public school, which nothing wrong with public schools.
Public school, but yeah.
Yeah, but the one in our area is not the best, and so we want some different options, and so we're looking at charter schools in the area. So, charter schools, they're still free, basically, but another education option. So, like, I've been like researching and setting up tours and signing or doing applications and all of that, and then, like, often because these charter schools are in demand, they have a lottery system to decide if your child gets a spot into the school.
And that's just like plucking a name out, or does it like come down to actual people picking? Like, is there a human element? Actually,
like, the one we watched, because they live stream them often, and so the one we watched this past Monday, excuse me, they had, like, a whole system, like, using an Excel formula that, like, randomly assigned numbers to all the names on the list, and then basically, if you were in that top, I think it was like 40 or 50, then you automatically got a spot, and then anybody beneath that goes into the wait list, basically. So, yeah, so we were like number 11 on this wait list.
Okay.
Yeah, not to get a spot, but on the wait list. So, apparently there's still a chance that we could get into the school, but yeah, just excuse me, kind of going through all the waves with that. And then otherwise, I don't know. Yeah, we're getting over colds, So there's been that.
The family cold.
Yeah, man. And other than that, that's really it.
I mean, that's a lot, though.
It's a lot.
For a family of 4, yeah. Like, I'm like, really, for me, just the one trip to the Skyhawks game would have been like, all right, that's enough for this week. I got other stuff to worry about.
I mean, yeah, really, because like honestly, like this stuff that you guys just took downstairs, like we're still cleaning up from the birthday party from like 2-3 weeks ago at this point. So yeah, the day-to-day is enough on its own.
Yeah, and I get it, because the stuff that I took to the convention, when I brought it back home, I just put it in the middle of my room, and I didn't really address it till earlier this week.
Yeah.
So that's like 2 weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. And it's like, because just so much.
Life. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and I know, like, I've kind of done that to myself, because, like, I don't have kids, you know, and everything. I just have all these extracurriculars just trying to provide, just trying to make money. But, yeah, it's like, it's easy for things like that to just get, what's the word? Not prioritized.
Right.
It's like, who's it hurting? Just let it be there. It's okay. It's not like I keep tripping over it. Right. And even then, it's still like, well, I'll just walk around the next time. It's
Let me just shuffle it to the side real quick.
It's like, now, if it keeps getting me, like maybe 4 times, then I'll do something about it. But, but no, that all sounds very exciting.
The dishwasher. I know. What's been going on with you?
Shoot. What have I been doing? Like you said, it just kind of all runs together. It's hard. Like, Sharif will get on me for not remembering things a lot. And it's like, because I'm so busy worried about just being here and then being in the future. Yeah. It's hard to remember the past a lot. It's just, I'm so rarely am I here. I'm most of the time in the future. Let's see. I got the stuff out of I cleaned up my room, my office, because there was this huge duffel bag in the middle of it, and I got that sorted. What have we actually done?
I know.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to think back, to reflect back. That's,
It's just like, just tell me what you did yesterday.
Yeah, I know. And sometimes that's a struggle. It's like, tell me about yesterday. When I have meetings on Mondays and they're like, oh, how was your weekend? What did I do this weekend? I don't know.
That's a loaded question.
It is. It is. Like a very simple question that really requires a lot of thought.
Well, Friday we went and saw Creed.
Yeah.
You saw it?
Yes.
I liked it.
Opening. I think it was like opening night. We saw it.
It was good. Like, so good. I didn't see any of the Rocky franchise until like a month ago. Oh, so you still have it? Well, I was like, okay, if I'm gonna see Creed 3 when it comes out, because Sharif really wanted to go. So I'm like, okay, well, I gotta watch these other movies. And so I skimmed, like, I kind of just put them on and absorbed them through osmosis or whatever. Like, okay, I hear the plot every now and again, and I put them on multiple times. So it's like, okay, I've kind of seen these movies. I get the gist of what happens in these movies. And the one that I watched the most, though, I really liked. But like, when I actually sat down and looked at it, I think it was like the second to last Rocky movie where...
Wait, how many are there?
I think there's 5 or 6.
Okay.
I think there's...
I was thinking there were like 3.
No.
So.
There's, like, I think... the first one is with him and Carl Weathers.
Okay.
Then the second one, I think, is Mr. T.
Okay.
And then the third one might be Drago.
Okay.
And then the fourth one is then this, like, the one where Rocky trains some guy, and then he gets too, like, I'm too cool for you. He starts hanging out with some Don King looking dude. And
Rocky does?
no, not
his guy.
His student, his apprentice, And then he like turns on them, and then they're like, "They'll never love you like Rocky." Like this is the one I really watched. So, but he was like, "They'll never love you like Rocky. You're not Rocky." So then he's like, "Screw it." He like pulls up on Rocky, and like at his house with his whole entourage, like, "I'll fight you. I challenge you." And he's like, "I ain't about to fight you, man." Like I'm like, cause Rocky's kind of retired at this point.
Okay.
So he's like, "I'm not gonna fight you," and then the dude's like, "Okay," and then he just starts fighting them like they do a street fight. And I thought I was like, I like, yeah, you keep it fresh, it's not always about it.
In the ring.
Yeah, it's like, we just gonna fight, like through a trash can at one point, and then Rocky beat him still, and then there's the Rocky after that, which is like when he's like old, and like that one's called Rocky Balboa.
Like they skipped into the future?
Yeah, like it's a time skip. So he's like older, and it's like, but he just wants to box again, and so he like had to do this whole thing to qualify for a boxing license, and then he found some dude to fight him, like some new guy. They hit him with the LeBron thing, like he's good, but is he better than this great, And they put it through a simulator, and it said. Right, like the simulator said Rocky could beat him. So he was like, man, whatever. So then he actually challenged Rocky, since Rocky just happened to be in the mood for fighting. Okay. And then like what happened was Rocky just went the distance, as they say. Like he just lasted the whole fight. He didn't get knocked out. So it was more so just him proving it to himself that he's like, I can still do this. It's not about winning. It's not about losing. It's just about believing in yourself. So he goes the full thing. The guys awarded the fight, like the competitor, the younger dude, he's awarded the fight through points, because boxing has a point system. So that one was just about like Creed 1 is, where it's just kind of like, hey, you did it.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't even think you could get up here. They thought you were gonna embarrass yourself, but you came up here, you did it. So yeah, I watched all of those, and I watched Creed 1. Monday with Sharif, then we watched Creed 2 Thursday, and then saw the new one. And like both times, I'm looking at these dudes like Drago and Kang. I've been calling him Kang. Yeah, I'm like, sheesh. Like you're supposed to fight these guys. Right. Like they look like they would squish you. Like Michael B. Jordan ain't small, but it's just like they
taller,
they're taller.
Yeah, I know. And then it's like watching it at the theater is so, like, I couldn't, like, when Creed 3 came out, I was like, we have to go to the theater to watch it. Because it's like the intensity and the sound and, like, all of that.
I felt like all of those hits.
Yes. Like, it's like you're in it, you know what I mean? So there's some things you just can't duplicate, like, at home, And
on Good, we had, like the quality of we streamed it on HBO. I'm glad the quality of the stream was good, because even with, I don't have no sound bar or anything at the house, but I was still able, the sound was really good when it came to the fights and the punches, to where I felt, some of that, and I was, anticipating, seeing this in the theater, it's going to be real.
Right.
And yeah, it definitely was. And I was like, hey, in the movie, I'm like, Michael Jordan acted his ass off, didn't he? I was when, spoiler alert, when his mom died, I was like, oh shit, this is real. This is real. You know? So, that was a great movie. I was like, as much as I love the Marvel comic book movies, I'm like, this Marvel ain't fucking with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Michael, B. Jordan directed it too. So
right.
I'm like,
and then Ryan Coogler's brother or somebody wrote it.
Oh.
Yeah, I think his name's Keenan Coogler.
Oh yeah, I did see him in the executive producers and stuff. Yeah, and I was like, oh, the Coogler. I guess he's
related. Yeah.
So, but yeah, good movie. Great.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm really glad we went to go see that. So I'm like, was that within the past week? Maybe that happened this week. I don't.
If you saw opening night, it wasn't this week.
Okay.
Yeah, because we tend to go late just to avoid crowds.
Yeah.
But man, Regal. What kind of theater did y'all go to?
We went to Silver Spot, the dine-in movie at
So
the
y'all
Battery.
y'all paid for that, right?
We did, yeah.
Yeah, but see, we usually go out to Alpharetta because it's nicer. I call it Alfie Heights. It sounds fun. Let's go out to Alfie Heights, you know. But we go out to a studio movie grill out there. It's really nice. Mm-hmm. And we usually go to a movie grill now just because you get something to eat.
Right.
Watch the movie. It's a whole thing, you know. Right. And at first I was like, man, like, cause the tab's usually like $70 almost, you know, and it's like, I feel like sometimes we just need to go to the movies, like, but then we go to Regal to see Creed 3, and the tickets, like both of our tickets cost like $28. I'm like, for a match? No, for together.
Oh, together.
But
okay.
still, and that's for the matinee. I was like,
yeah,
like damn. So
it's
then we got a popcorn and a drink with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, we just go to Movie Grill for this. So I'm like, good lord, like it's crazy how expensive they are now.
It is, like, but I mean, when you think about it, it makes more sense now that the movies would cost like more because there's so much content like at home too, right? So like, it's almost like the movies has become an even more premium experience in some ways, you know, in a lot of ways, I think. Yeah. So I know at least for us, like, I'm only going to the theater to watch it if it's like something I really feel like I need to see in the theater. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I don't need to see like a romantic comedy at the theater. You know, like if it's something that's more like action-packed, like visuals, like all these things, that's when I'm gonna like pay or really invest in my movie experience. You know what I mean?
Did y'all ever see Avatar?
We didn't.
Yeah.
It's like I want to see it, but I don't want to spend 3 hours watching a movie nowadays. I can't do it. Like, I can barely watch one movie, one regular time movie, like a 3.5 hour movie. I don't have time for that.
Yeah, I get that, man. You know, you really do, like, it has to be worth it. Like, I think, and we saw a 3-hour movie that wasn't good. The one that comes to my mind immediately was It 2. Like, It Chapter 2. Like, that was like 3 hours, and I was like, long. That didn't need to be 3 hours. The Batman didn't need to be 3 hours.
Really long.
Like,
it was good, but it was really long. Yeah.
It was good, yeah. Like, but the movie, it kind of had, like, what was released in theaters could have been like an extended cut.
Yeah.
Because it's like the movie could have easily ended. Like, I saw a YouTube video the other day of some guy who just knows movies and scripts. Just like, this movie ends twice. Like, it could have ended. Yeah. It could have ended when the guy got shot outside and it was just revealed that Riddler, you know, it's like you caught him, but you still won.
Yeah.
And it's just like...
And then it continued.
And then it's like, well, I got you. And it's like, did you?
Right.
Did you stop me?
Yeah.
And then you can let that lead into a sequel or whatever, you know? But it's like, yeah, this movie is too long. But like I said, it's good. It's just some movies don't need to be that long.
Yeah. So while we're on the topic of movies...
I'm not going to say something about black scenes, right?
No. Not right now. But you made me think of it. I brought this up to Carrie earlier, but you made me think of something I was reading on Reddit this morning. It was a movies Reddit, and people were asking, like, what is the best big reveal that you've seen in a movie? So, like, one person said, I don't know if you've ever seen Primal Fear with Richard Gere and Edward Norton. Like, at the end, it's too much to get into. So let me tell you about another one. Another one is, like, also with Edward Norton, Fight Club. Like, it's revealed, like, Brad Pitt never existed, you know, like, this big moment where it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was a thing. Or, like, somebody else mentioned Scream, how it's revealed at the end there were 2 killers. Like, you know, or I thought about The Sixth Sense, you know, where Bruce Willis realizes he was dead, you know, he's dead.
So did you pick one? Like who's?
I was like, if nobody else had commented The Sixth Sense, that's what I was going to say. Because that to me, like, I mean, when we watched that movie, it was like a huge moment.
It
where it was
hit.
like, oh my god!
Especially because Reggie had the stereo, surround sound. It's like our whole shenanigans before we watched the movie. So yeah, that was definitely, we were in it.
Right.
You know, when we were watching it. So I don't know. Best reveal or twist. One that comes to mind is The Prestige.
That somebody said that too. Yeah.
That's just a great movie, top to bottom. Fight Club was a good one. It's like all the obvious ones have been taken, so you gotta pick like. And rarely are there movies now that have a good little mystery subplot twist.
I know.
A lot of things are just kind of hitting the beats to.
They are,
So,
I agree. Like when I was reading, and I know you're still thinking about one, but when I was like reading it, because most of the movies they mentioned were like older movies, you know, it wasn't really anything that was like new, you know, and I was like, I miss like the dramatics, you know, or like the unpredictable nature of movies. Like, nowadays it feels like a lot of things are just like following a script or formula or like.
And Matt Damon, like, you ever watch that YouTube show Hot Ones?
No.
It's basically they progressively put hotter and hotter hot sauce on chicken wings and then do an interview.
Okay.
It's a cool show. You should watch it. They're on YouTube, some short, some long. Anyways, he was saying how, like, he was asked a question about movies nowadays, and something I didn't realize until he was asked that question is that Matt Damon used to do a lot of like just dramas and like, you know, Good Will Hunting type of movies and stuff, or The Talented Mr. Ripley and stuff like that. He said those kinds of movies didn't used to really make a lot of money as they were released. Right. So they used to get all their money on like rentals and VHS, you know, DVD purchases. Now with the advent, I think it's advent. I try to use words.
It's okay, yeah. I know what you mean though. Yeah. I see where you're coming.
In the era of streaming, they don't get to recoup that money as much anymore. Right. So those movies are kind of very risky. So they don't make a lot of those kinds of movies anymore. Now that's why everyone's trying to do a reboot or a sequel. Things that are like
guaranteed to like be a money grab, basically.
Right. You know, there's a lot of cash grabs out there now, and that's why the MCU was that model in itself is so attractive to other movie companies. Everyone's trying to get a franchise. Right. You know, build a franchise and milk that for all that they can. And like, I don't know if you remembered, there were like a couple times where everyone kept trying to make their own MCU. Like they tried to do that one with the Mummy and Tom Cruise. Right. You know, the Monster Universe and stuff like that. And they all flopped because they try to go too fast. Yeah. But yeah, they don't really make movies like that anymore. They're rare and far apart. So
yeah, that's true. Like there's not a lot of one-off kind of movies now.
And the ones that usually are like some kind of biopic or something like that. Something that's like in a not a modern, dated. It's in an era though. Like it's something. Like I said, words, but it's a timepiece. That word is on the tip of my tongue, but they take place in the past. It's recounting something or something like that. You know, that's another thing because people are really into reality and you know that kind of authenticity. So they like to. That's another big thing right now. So storytelling has become very stiff, and you don't get it looks kind of corny, but I do still want to see M. Night Shyamalan's new movie with like Dave Bautista. You haven't heard about that? He's like this family, like Dave Bautista. You know who that is, right? Him and these couple other people track down this family in a cabin, like staying at a cabin on a weekend vacation or something. They come into their home and they basically are like, one of you has to die or the entire world will die. And it's like, he's like, but y'all get to choose who it's gonna be. And it's like, y'all have to choose. We can't choose for you. Y'all have to choose. They can't just kill one of them. So it's an interesting premise. And even though it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie, and I've kind of been burnt a couple times by M. Night Shyamalan, I still am just an interesting premise. So I still want to see the movie. I just, kind of waiting for it to come out. But, as maybe a movie they didn't say that I thought was, to this day, I watch it knowing what the twist is and mystery of it, Minority Report. I really like Minority Report. It's got action. It's got the mystery subplot and the twist.
That was a great movie.
It's a great movie. So that's probably what I would offer. I think I could get away with no one's really said this yet.
I don't remember everything. There were a lot of comments, but one of the things that, and it wasn't so much of a reveal. I guess the character had like an aha moment, you know, in Memento. Remember that movie?
That's a good one.
They were talking about the scene where he realizes that the lady from The Matrix, her first name,
Carrie-Anne Moss.
That she was basically like playing him, and so there's a scene where he's like, I gotta write this down. I gotta remember, and she is
just
going
sits in the
off,
car?
right? She leaves for a minute, and he's frantically trying to get it down.
I love that look on his face. It was like,
and then
it's just gone.
Right, and then it was gone, and then she came right back in, So somebody mentioned that scene, and I was like, that was a really good movie too, But
they don't really make. You'll see them make another Memento before you see another movie like Memento.
That. That's really interesting. It's
streaming. Streaming is, and I'm seeing now look at YouTube videos about streaming and the business model. Just trying to strategize how to implement different strategies. That's a dumb sentence. But basically, streaming isn't the gold rush that it used to be. Just because when Netflix and Hulu did it, it was just Netflix and Hulu.
Right.
Now there's Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Showtime, NBC. All of these other streaming services. Everyone's trying. So now it's essentially just like cable. If you try to have more than two, and people are losing subscribers, and everyone's trying to game the system by either sharing accounts or they'll subscribe to watch this one show when it comes out, unsubscribe when it's done. So streaming is starting to lose money, and I think soon, if things are, I haven't done extensive research, but from what I'm seeing, I think soon there's going to be a big cable renaissance. Where people are just like, you know what? I have Netflix, but I do have cable too. I'm not cutting the cord. Cutting the cord isn't what it used to be. Now it's like, no, you need cable. Or you essentially need one of these streaming platforms, which is like cable, like Pluto or Tubi. Where it's basically cable. They're streaming multiple things. They have channels.
Right.
It's I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, huh. And they have commercials in between the movies or TV shows or whatever, and that's just becoming more profitable. So it's if that picks up, it's basically just cable, and it's just free, and which is cable already, sorta. So it's just I think it's really just going to evolve back into a different version of cable.
What do you think about... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and maybe at that point we'll start to get a renaissance in the movies.
What do you think about what Netflix did with Chris Rock's live?
What happened? Did they censor it or something?
No, just the fact that was their first live streaming event. Because I feel like that, one of the things I feel like we've lost in streaming is this live event. I mean, we still have like award shows, things
The
like
moment.
that.
You've lost the moment.
You've lost the moment, the collective moment of bringing everybody together for this thing. And this shared sense of culture in some ways gets lost because now it's just like pick and choose what you want and you can watch it on demand at any time kind of thing. And so, say what you want about the content of the Chris Rock, special, but the fact that they like did a live streaming event, which you can now stream, at any time, but like I feel like doing more things like that too will help build more moments within streaming itself. But
like there's what you're saying is real and definitely a thing, and that's why after I see a movie I want to go to Twitter and see what everyone else is talking about it, like that's why I want to see Marvel movies as soon as they come out, because that's when most people, that's as close to the moment as you get. And even when I release my videos on YouTube, I like to do this thing, even though I only have like 90-something subscribers, but when I schedule a video, you have the option of just scheduling it where it'll just pop up on YouTube, or you can set it as a premiere where, like, as soon as you put it in there, say it comes out at the end of the month, it's up on my channel and it says premiere on it, and it says the date when it comes out.
Oh, that's cool.
So it will stream, so to speak. Like the initial play will happen at this time, and then people can go back and watch. And for when it gets bigger, I think, that's very powerful. Just being able to say, it comes out this day, and you get to look forward to it. Because, I think back when I was a kid, and it's like, no, Dragon Ball Z comes on at 5 o'clock.
Right.
If you want to see it,
that's when, or you're going to miss it.
Or you're going to miss it. And it was like, maybe you'll catch a repeat if they do repeats sometimes. But it's like, I like the feeling of like, this is the moment. Yeah. And I think the more streaming platforms adapt to that, like once, because I think what they're doing by adapting that model is that they're more so now understanding culture versus just a revenue
stream.
So it's like the culture, which is more powerful and will bring in more revenue. Once we understand that, we can manipulate it, so to speak. And you'll get that with live streams. And something I think is the next big thing, like whoever does this next is going to win the streaming wars, so to speak, is if they allowed you to build a playlist on the platform. Yeah. So, like, because sometimes it's like, okay, I want to watch all these shows, but it's like, I wish it was just on TV to where this show came on, then this show came on, then this show came on. So it's like, if I could just say, well, I want to get season 1, episode 6 of this, that's where I'm at on that one. Season 2, episode 1 of that. And then season 4, episode 3, that's where I'm at on that show. And then just put those on a playlist. And then I can just say play, like on the platform, on Netflix. And it'll play those 3 with the auto play. I don't have to stop and then go to the other one. Right. I think whichever platform adapts that, where you can build playlists, like, okay, like I have my TV planned out for the whole week. Here's my Monday playlist, my Tuesday playlist, my Wednesday playlist. And, here's my cartoon playlist, or my oldies cartoon playlist. It just plays the classic cartoons. And, I can pick up where I left off and all that good stuff, but it's not all just binging one show. It's a variety of different things. Yeah. And I think when a business or platform starts being able to provide variety in a binge format, I think they're going to win.
Okay, you're just giving out ideas for free,
I mean, that's what I do on my channel, straight up, though. Like, I give out business ideas for free, and then if they want to like I said that on my Twitter, because I want it. Yeah. So I, added, I know they probably don't pay attention to their Twitter, but on the off chance some social media manager is paying attention, I added HBO Max, Hulu, and Netflix. Whichever one of y'all starts getting playlists on your platforms first is going to win. And but I mean, I'm just I got like 150 followers. No one's paying attention to me, but I'm like, I really think that's the next move. Like, yeah, you said live streaming and playlists, which is really just them stealing stuff from YouTube, but still.
Yeah. Hey,
YouTube's winning. YouTube is going nowhere. I think Google's losing money, but it's damn sure not because of YouTube. I doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, creating your own playlist or even having like a shuffle of content within your...
Like Spotify.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like music streaming platforms, like you can do, like I can just shuffle within this playlist that I've created, like within my list, that I've created. Because, they don't even have customizable lists, like you said. Like, it's just one generic, I want to save that.
And like you said, if you're able to make them public, like on Spotify, now it's like, you get influencers involved with that shit. Right. Oh, it's like, oh yeah, Danielle, she's like a TV critic, and she's got these playlists. Like, I watch her, I love what she watches on TV, And then, it's like all that stuff that can come from that to help drive subscription. Like, I think that's a good idea. The only thing that sucks about having good ideas like those is that there's no way to implement it. You just gotta kind of hope, because it's like, I'm not about to petition Netflix or HBO to do that, so it's like...
Yeah. I mean, maybe one day. It will be interesting to see what happens next with all of the content and...
What are you watching lately? Like, what's your show?
So I was just watching You.
Yeah, we're watching You right now. We're on because they just dropped the second batch of the season. Where are you on it?
I'm
sounds like you're behind. Yeah,
because I've also been watching Snow. I gotta really be selective with
We're taking our time. It's like one show at a time.
Yeah.
We were watching Paratest. Now we're watching You, and then we will catch up on Snowfall. Okay. Like, it's just too much.
So I'm caught up on Snowfall. So I'm like, okay, I'm caught up on the latest episode of Snowfall. Let me go back to You. And so I think I'm on like episode 4 or something like that. Because honestly, like the first episode, I'm like, I don't know if
like the very first episode or the first episode of new season?
Of this new season. I've been like, I don't know if I'm vibing with like the rich people in the UK thing.
It's like different.
It's different. And I'm fine with different, it just is kind of like, I don't know. But now it's getting a little bit more interesting, so I'm like, okay. And
it does get better as you get deeper into the story. Like, I think the appeal of those other seasons is that, like, the main character, Joe, is driven by lust.
Right.
So he's just kind of, like, here, there, and then all over the place, and then trying to, get all his cards back in order all the time. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, being driven by their, desires and what they want to do versus what they have to do. And now in this new season, it's a lot more just like I said, just different. It's just completely kind of different story. There's, like, as the story develops, there is some element of the whole, like, how he gets possessive about some things, but it's just, it's wrapped up in this more so very, different story.
I mean, I appreciate them trying to do something different, because, you can't keep repeating the same formula over and over again, I mean, they did something different with the last season, too, with, like Quinn being like a killer herself, so that was the last season and the end of the prior season, I guess. So they did have a little bit of a twist there too, but so I've been watching that, and then Snowfall, and then other than that, I just finished watching Perfect Match on Netflix. That was crazy.
Sharif was watching that show. I was like, Like, I can't watch these people and they drama. It's too much.
It sucked me in. It's like the worst and best kind of trash TV. But I was like I was like caught up in watching that for real. Like the new episodes are dropping, I gotta see them. I gotta see
new season of Love is Blind drops in like a week or so.
I know.
Yeah.
I watched Love is Blind, The Ultimatum.
Do you watch all of their shows?
Like some people on the Perfect Match series were from like The Mole and Too Hot to Handle and I think 20 somethings. I don't watch those.
Why? What's it about those?
Nothing. I can't watch everything. So I mainly watch Love is Blind and The Ultimatum. So the people from those shows I was familiar with. There was also people from Selling Tampa. I think I watched like 1 or 2 episodes of that. I'm not sure. But I was deep into that. And then like always in the background I have Grey's Anatomy. And
Desperate Housewives still?
No, I haven't watched that. Sorry, I haven't watched that in a while. But in Abbott Elementary, I'm still catching up on.
I was watching that for a minute, then I kind of fell off just because I got busy with stuff. But Abbott's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That same kind of Office, Parks and Rec vibe. So.
So that's it. What about you?
Well, really, and that's kind of about it. Like I said, we were watching The Parent Test, and then like I said, there's a shit ton of television I love to watch. Just anime. There's a lot of stuff I love to watch, but I just can't. I'd be so busy, and then. Yeah, it's just a lot. There's so much. Like I'm a producer more so than a consumer. So like just across the board, I don't buy that much stuff. I don't watch that much stuff, listen to that much stuff. It's really I just get my moments to really like okay I can do this or listen to this album or I just listened to the Drake and 21 Savage album finally. It's a pretty good album. There's a lot of trap songs, but they're good trap songs. So, but I've been wanting to listen to The Weeknd's new album for the longest. I still haven't done that, and that's like I was talking to Carrie. Like, there's so much music out there. Yeah. That I would probably love to listen to, and it's like the amount of time it takes to find it and go through all of it and all the different versions of songs.
And it's like to remember everything that came out too is part of it too. Because I'll see something and it's like, oh, that came out, talking music or, TV, and then I forget about it in the wave of everything else that has come out or happened, and then, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot this came out, and I never even, saw it or listened to it or whatever.
So, and it's. You talk about being a part of the moment. Sometimes I just feel like it's hard to be in the moment like that because it's like, well, if I want to be in that moment, it has to be at the sacrifice of all this other stuff. And it's hard.
It's hard to do.
Living in this age of just abundance. And it's like, how could you not feel overwhelmed on at least once a week? at a minimum. Even a person living a more modest lifestyle, like, it's just the demand is just so real. If it's not from your pleasures, it's definitely from your work. It's just
it's a lot,
And then it's just like, would you rather live in the age of like before the internet? Like,
I did.
We were both from the 1900s. I mean, like, would you rather be in a world not so dominated by the internet?
Yeah.
Or do you like the advantages? Do you prefer the advantages of the internet?
I do think that there's a lot that we miss because we have so much access, and now technology has propelled us to this state of like no excuses in a way, you know what I mean? No excuses, and also just like always on as well. And so, yeah, like, I mean, just think about like kids now not really going outside to play. Or like me and Carrie were talking about this, or me and a friend were talking about this, I can't remember, but thinking about our kids, I mean, my kids are still young, but them going outside to play in the cul-de-sac down the street, like, I wouldn't feel comfortable with that now. There's probably a lot of reasons for that outside of technology, you know, itself, but I mean, still, like, I still do think, like, the fact that there wasn't so much information and so much of everything back then, you know, we things did feel a little bit more simple. And
that's interesting how information seems to go hand in hand with fear.
Yeah. A little bit, yeah. I think so. I mean, not to get like negative or anything about it, but it's like, yeah, you know, we've gotten more savvy about things, but so have people who intend to do harm as well. And so, yeah, I'm never trying to be in a place of fear per se, but just I want to be aware and, you know, all these things. So I just, yeah, when we ask, like, would I want to go back, I mean, I do think there would be a lot of advantages to, like, going back to a time before the internet. Like, if we had a pandemic of the internet, that would be a really interesting place.
You know, there's a South Park episode like that, right?
No.
There was this episode, and then of course they took it to the extreme. Yeah. But it was an episode where the world's modem basically started glitching, and the internet went out for everybody, and just how everyone freaked out, and basically they found the modem, the world modem, and someone just unplugged it and then plugged it back in, and it worked. But yeah, that would be very interesting, just seeing people, like, and it's like I feel like we need that. We need to get back to the basics of just person to person, picking up the phone and talking to someone. You know, landlines keep you grounded.
I guess, but then it's like a whole system of things though too, because in order to slow down, you needed both the pandemic. We didn't need there's a lot of negative to the pandemic, of course, right? So, but it did put us in a place to slow down in some ways, you know? But it's like you needed that without the internet. And then we would have really, you know, we had a dramatic change and a dramatic shift, you know, over the past few years. But I think if
how do you think that would look different if say the pandemic happens, people have to be more so indoors. Without the internet, what do people do?
Play board games. Or talk more.
Like I remember there were a lot more people going for walks.
Yeah, there were. So I mean, I think we definitely still took a moment. Yeah, I think we still got a lot of it, you know. But I think it was because now it's like it's back full force in a lot of ways. I mean, I think there are a lot of like lasting effects from the pandemic that are for the good, like many more companies offering remote work, and so many people have started small businesses, and you know, some of these things taking like their future into their own hands and things like that. But
quiet quitting,
or just people feeling more empowered in some ways, you know. So I think there are a lot of benefits, but I think, you know, in other ways, like things feel like back full force too, like almost like, okay, we're offering remote work, but we're going to give you everything you need, and you have no reason to be like completely offline after 5 o'clock. You know what I mean? Like some, you know, not every company is like that. I mean, my company isn't like that, but there's other places where it's like, yeah, you work remote, but now, you know, you don't need to leave your home. We're going to pay for these things. You have where you don't have to commute. So, like, what's your excuse for, you know what I mean? Like, some of these things that you would do before, you know, so.
And I thought that was real powerful when you said that earlier. We live in a time of no excuses. And that speaks to so many different things. Just because information is so available, it's like, if you want to do something, what's stopping you except you?
Right.
And, you know, that whole like philosophy or whatever of you are your greatest enemy, or your greatest challenge is you conquering yourself, has never been more real. As a result, you know, there's nothing really stopping you. And like I deal with that a lot when it comes to giving out comic book advice, because a lot of people are, and a lot of them come from a time of when those were problems. It's a lot of creators are in the like 30s, 40s. So they come from a time when that was an obstacle, like where a lot more obstacles existed, but they don't really now with the internet and all these social media platforms and like just the accessibility of everything. And it's like, that's not the case at all. Like with what you're talking about, like that's not a real problem anymore. It's just about doing it. And a lot of people just don't want to do it. A lot of people, everyone could get straight A's in class. You know, if they really wanted to, like there's no reason you could say you don't have access to information. It used to be some kids, they don't have access to libraries. It's like, okay, you can't get to the information. You have to have someone like a tutor if you really want to. But now it's just, all you have to do is be self-motivated, which can be hard. But still, like you said, it's like all of those everything you want to do, it's like you don't have to do it. You can do whatever makes you happy. But you have no excuse for not being able to, you know, achieve these goals you're setting for yourself, because of just, there's so many different ways for you to achieve it.
There are, and I mean, in a lot of, I think there are for those who have access, because there's still a lot of people that don't have access.
Well, yeah, let me
reliable
let me refine my
and things like
let
that.
me refine my thing. Most people in America, which turns out I learned this a couple weeks ago, is a very small percentage of the world. Yeah, it's like most people in America, a first world country, you know, have no excuses. Everyone else, but it's crazy. Like, not to get too far off of what we're talking about, but you know who Mr. Beast is?
I've heard this name, and he did something good. He's apparently in big.
He's a really big YouTuber.
Okay.
Like, multi-million subscribers. Makes plenty of money, has multiple different businesses. And every now and again, he'll do some philanthropy work, where I think lately, like, and I don't know everything, I just been seeing, you know, some talk about it, but he, like, gave a bunch of kids in Africa shoes. Yeah. And it's like, oh, it's powerful, like, good. And it wasn't like, you know, in exchange for something, as far as I know. You know, but it's like, people criticized him for that. It's like, well, it's like, if you're giving them shoes, why you're recording it, or all this other things, and making content off of it, and it's like, what's wrong with giving people shoes? Like, how does that become a problem? I think that, just going back to what we were talking about, criticism has never been bigger too. In a world of just like where so many people flaunt their achievements. Yeah. Now there's all this criticism to go with it, even if you do make it. It's a weird dynamic we've created.
Yeah, because I mean, then there's definitely, like, you know, we talk about no excuses. It's like empowering, right, in a lot of ways. But then there's the other side of the coin where it's like the hustle culture, where it's like, okay, you feel like you can't slow down, or you feel like you can't take care of yourself in certain ways because there's no excuse to not do XYZ, or you always got to be like on the grind, and you can't take that moment to like pause and breathe or sleep, like the whole sleep when you're dead thing. It's like, that is toxic.
Yeah.
You know, that's not
people,
taking care of yourself either. So, and if that's what you want, then sure. But you know, I think there's a time for everything, and I think there's a time to grind, and there's a time for rest, and there's a, you know, you just got to keep things in balance and serve yourself in the best way you can along your journey. But to make like firm statements like, you know, I never like sleep or rest, or I'm always on the grind, or I'm all, you know, like that, okay, maybe that sounds good for the moment or what you need to do for the moment, but I think it's also important to recognize the opposite of, just because we're in a world of no excuses doesn't mean you always have to opt into that framework and set yourself, you know, you don't always have to operate in that framework in order to be successful, you know what I mean?
And so. I think I was watching a video talking about it where they they describe sort of hustle culture as hyper capitalism, where it's really just capitalism at the nth degree, where it's just all that matters is making the money. Are you making the money? Are you getting to the money? It's like, if sleep ain't getting to the money, are you getting paid to sleep? Right. Some people are. Like, some people stream that and get paid to sleep. I'm like, how'd you do that shit? Yeah, but yeah, it's like, it's just hyper capitalism to where it's just everyone's just trying to make money. Money is driving so many decisions in the world to where we have environmental disasters happening, you know, and it's just like how dangerous that machine can be if not, you know, balanced with other people like chill. You know, like it's not about everything like this, making money, achieving goals, that's not what life's about. Right. You know? And I like how you said framework, like that was a big word when I learned it, cause basically it's just perspective and how you can look at this, you know, multiple different ways and see something different, but it's still the water bottle. You know, it's just, I think it's important, and like, yeah, sometimes things are just seasons. Like, that works for right now. Right. That won't work. Like, you can't sustain that. Right. You know, like, or it would be unhealthy to sustain that for a long time. Like, and yeah, that's a big thing with comic creators, like artists, like a lot of people who make these really successful mangas, or like Japanese comic books, they work themselves to death. Like, some people, like a real famous one put out his workflow schedule that he has for the week, and it's just like work, sleep, work, you know, eat, work, you know, it's just like that's just too much. And like, I was trying to think about that, because I remember when I started this year, I was like, oh, now that I've got the resources, I'm gonna do all these comics I've been wanting to do. And I'm like, well, if you're gonna do that alongside of all these other things, you're gonna be busy all the time. So when are you gonna have time for your family, your friends, you know, just to hang out, watch TV, maybe read a comic book, you know? Like, it's just, it's very easy to get caught up in, but it's just not a good way to live life. And that's why I think a lot of people try to simplify it to just happiness. Like, what's gonna make you happy? It's not about what's gonna make you rich. What's gonna make you happy? Yeah.
And Carrie and I were just having this conversation earlier today, but he read some article about like people that had retired or something like that, or I can't remember, but basically the summary was about like what will make you happy in retirement, and it was like connections to people, and it's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because when the work is gone and when it's time, like you've made all your money and all of these things, like and your kids have grown up and they are doing their own thing with their lives, what are the other remaining like connections, and what other things have you fostered in your life that would bring you happiness? You know, so yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. Like, it can't always be about work all the time, you know what I mean? Like, it might bring you a lot of success by someone's standards, maybe even your own standards for that period of time, but is that what your standards are going to be when you're old and gray?
So
know?
What would you say, in what ways are you like building something that you can look back on when you're old and gray and be like, I'm proud of these things that I did for my life or my children's lives or whatever, outside of just providing financial, freedom or whatever?
I mean, I think it's important for me, like we were talking about moments, it's important for me to try and create moments, like I love to, I can't right now, but I love to go and do things or create experiences. I'm just thinking about kicking back up this like couples dinner thing that we used to do pre-kids, or we probably did it even a little bit after I had Cooper, but opportunities for like connecting and with people in our friend group or family, or even within my own family, like trying to go on trips occasionally, or it doesn't even have to be trips, like experiencing things around the city, you know what I mean? Like, to me, those things, like creating moments or just special times to connect and be together outside of the regular day-to-day are what's important for me, and I think have always been important for me, just like creating special moments of connection, whether it's larger or smaller, I think. Are what is important to me. I realize that like this particular time in my life is a grind, and so it's like I'm trying to include as much balance as I possibly can, but I do think there are also times of your life where it's like I gotta keep the main thing the main thing. I just told somebody this, like, that it's on the hunt for a job, and she was feeling bad where she was like, oh, I've been wanting to get together with the group, and I know we said we were gonna hang out, and I feel so bad. And I'm like, look, sometimes you gotta get the main thing. Sometimes the main thing has to be the only thing until you can get, to a particular place. So, like, I think I've been in a place where the past couple years is like, yeah, I've had kids, and it's like that's taken a large portion of my bandwidth. It's not always going to be like that, though. But sometimes it's like, well, this is the main priority, and I can incorporate other things as much as possible. But instead of beating, like, it's weird to be in a place where it's like, you want to resist, like, oh, this is taking over my whole life, But then you also want to be in a place of like, no, acceptance, and let me weave in other things as much as possible and recognize this is the time of my life where this is the grind for this, but it's not always going to be that way. So it's a weird, like, balance when you and yeah, looking back, like, if I were to look back, it's like, or be ahead and then look back, it's like, well, what was I able to do, during this time where I had to primarily focus on this, but, anyway, creating moments, I think, is like the most important thing for me.
And after hearing that from you, I get now why Remy's birthday was so, like, why it was stressing you out. Not because it was just her birthday, but you were trying to create a moment. And yeah, it's bigger than just that. And I was telling myself that because remember how I told you I wanted to take the family on a trip and all that stuff? The Facebook money has slowed down some. So it's like what used to be like, oh, I can do that easy, but now it's like, okay, well, hold on. And yeah, and I was thinking, I'm like, what is it that you're really trying to get? Like, it's not that you want to go on a trip with everyone. You just want to be connected with your family. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I was thinking back on Remy's birthday, where it was like when I was around all of my family. Mm-hmm. And it's like, this is just what I'm getting. And that didn't require a trip. It just requires everyone just saying, like, hey, we'll all be here at this time. Right. And I'm like, that's all you really got to do is just say, hey, we're all getting together for dinner, and I'll pay for dinner, and just be here at this time. And we're all going to hang out. And then maybe afterwards we all will go, like, if you want to come with us, we're going to go bowling. Yeah. Whatever. If you want to come, that'd be great. We all just have this little bonding day. Yeah. It doesn't have to be something. A 4-day weekend trip somewhere. It's like just start small, but because what's important to you, you can still do within the confines of that.
I think so too. Yeah. I think so too. Or it's like, okay, we're just gonna all do. Yeah, we're all gonna do dinner. I was gonna say like, oh, we're gonna just have dinner at somebody's house. Now that requires a whole other level of preparation. But yeah, I think the main thing is like, let's get together. We don't have to make it a huge to do. Mm-hmm. Let's just get together because the point is this. So. Right. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a place for making things a to-do, but it doesn't have to be all the time, and at the sacrifice of, getting together or getting the main thing that you're trying to accomplish.
Exactly, because it's like, with every year, I feel there are a lot of people I feel like I should be more connected to that I'm not, and it's just like, like Kevin was talking to me yesterday. He's like, when's the last time you talked to Terrence? I was like, a while, like a long time. But I was like, he messaged me the other day. We had a quick little back and forth, but it wasn't like a conversation. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, but I was, my friend got married. Yeah. So that's something I did recently. I was a groomsman.
Right. Yeah, Mom sent the picture. You look nice.
Thank you. Yeah, that's like, what have I been doing? I don't know. I was like, oh yeah, I was with someone when they got married. Yeah, that was the whole thing. Showed up with the wrong tie, and that was a whole crisis, a little mini crisis. But yeah, I was like, who would my best men be? And I definitely still included Terrence. I was like, it would be Kevin, Terrence, and then 2 of my coworkers that I'm still tight with from FedEx. Mm-hmm. It would be them 4. Mm-hmm. And like, this is someone I consider a brother. Yeah. Like, I haven't talked to him in forever. Like Aleem is another guy I would easily put in my groomsmen lineup, but I haven't talked to him in forever. I'm like, these relationships, I haven't taken care of them. And it's like, yeah, other people could reach out to you and stuff. Like, it's not like I'm avoiding people. Like, people can call me and I'll talk to them. I'm just so busy most of the time that I don't, like, this is my opportunity to get to talk to people. This, platform or whatever, talking on podcasts. This is how I talk to people. And because I'm just so caught up in stuff. But yeah, you just, thinking about sustainability and what's going to be important to you and all that stuff. This is the way I sort of get it my fix in. Mm-hmm. But it's like going forward, I don't want it to be 2 months in between talking to the people I, care about. And that's really only 3 times a year, because 6 of those are, or not 6, but the other 3 are with people in the industry, like comic creators. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, well, that's not sustainable. And I think a lot about, like I said, I'm so forward thinking a lot, which isn't the best thing to do, but I'm so forward thinking, it's like, does this still make sense in 5 years to be doing it like this? Mm-hmm. It's like, I won't be happy with that in 5 years. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, we need to rework this. Because, you may be happy with it today, next week, 2 months. We'd be happy with this in 5 years. If no, then you should probably, find a different way to do it. So, I forgot what we were talking about, but I just want to do things that I feel are sustainable and can just build lasting happiness. Yeah. And there's just a lot of work a lot of adjustments I need to make in order to get that.
I mean, so does it. I think everybody does. I think it's just like accepting that life is a journey and that things, like you said, are for a season, and you know, being able to pivot when it's like something is no longer serving you, whatever that may be, you know what I mean? Or you're just no longer in alignment with something, and it's like that applies to so many things, and like, yeah, just being able to take care of yourself and serve your goals as those may change, you know? Just knowing that it doesn't always have to be like this is what I'm doing forever, you know, or this is it, you know, like.
And so, it's easy to get caught up in that too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is who I'm gonna be now, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like it doesn't have to be like that.
It doesn't have to be like that. Maybe this is who. Maybe you feel passionate. It's great to feel passionate about something, but maybe this isn't what it is for the rest.
And I'm thinking like, well, why do you do that, Marcel? And it's like, it's probably because, another thing coming back to blaming the internet, but you see other people, and when you look at them, you don't assign all these nuances to them. You just say, no, they're that person.
That's what it is,
and that's what everyone is. So I have to be a person. I can't be this complex equation of a person. I'm supposed to be a person. And that's how you get to be one of those great people. You just have to be a person. And yeah, I think that's how people get sort of stuck in that. And then if they're like, if I'm not that person, well then how am I supposed to be successful or whatever? You know. But
it's complicated.
We could talk forever.
Yeah, I know.
But I did like have a couple questions that I did want to ask you.
Okay.
I like to just do a conversation, and if I have a question, it's like, okay, I'll have like maybe a question, and I'll sneak it in towards the end if we just go well. So one thing I definitely wanted to ask you is, tell me something you think I don't know about you. My sister of my, I guess, entire life. Yes. What's something you think I don't know about you?
Oh man, you should have sent me the questions before.
I just thought about this.
I don't think well on my feet.
Yeah. Like
Number one.
Not as smart as you think I am.
Yeah, I don't think well off the top of my head. I'm a very prepared person in a lot of ways.
Okay.
But I don't know. Maybe that
or maybe it could just be something that you think a lot of people don't know about you. That'll make it a little easier.
I don't know what people think about me, but or even what, you know, how people perceive me. I would say, I mean, like many, I have insecurities. I think I've grown through that over the course of my adulthood. But yeah, I think, you know, there are some people that, like, I like to be social, but I also really like my alone time and peace. And I can be very introverted. I think I am more naturally introverted, but I still have like a little piece of extroversion in me. And I don't think well on my feet. Yeah.
Is there like a hobby you think maybe I don't know about, or maybe a guilty pleasure, or a favorite food you think people don't know that you like?
I love, you probably already know this about me, but I love bubble wrap.
Well, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
So I love bubble wrap, so that's probably not a good example. Not to eat, just to pop.
Yeah.
Hobby. Oh man. I don't really have hobbies. Lately.
Is that something you wish you had time for, like to develop a hobby?
I mean, I definitely wish I had more time for hobbies. I've gotten really into not right now, but doing my nails.
Okay.
Not right now. But I've invested in like the nail lamp and all the tools and all the things, the fake nails to put on. Like I've become my own at-home salon person. Okay. So that's been cool. And that actually has become like a hobby in time for self-care.
We got there. Yeah.
I'm really into oil pulling.
What's that?
I do that every day.
What is that?
Swishing oil in your mouth. You can do coconut oil. I use olive oil. It helps draw out toxins in your mouth. Do it first thing in the morning, every day. You can do it twice a day. Really good.
Do you do that like on top of a mouthwash, like Listerine or something?
No. I do the oil pulling for about 20 minutes, and then spit it out, brush my teeth. Like I've become obsessed with like not feeling anything on my teeth after I clean them.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. See.
Yeah. There you go.
Like I said, we got there. We got there. What is it? Did you ever read comics? And if you did, what was your favorite?
I used to read, like I feel like I'm dating myself, but I did used to read like newspaper comics, and I really liked The Family Circus and Kathy.
Kathy? What's Kathy?
It was just like this white woman. I don't even know what it was about, but those are the two that I would read.
Okay.
Whenever I had access to a newspaper, The Family Circus and Kathy.
Aunt Mona said she really liked The Family Circus too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said she saw a lot of, their family in The Family Circus. Was it like that for you, or you just thought it was funny?
I just liked it. Yeah. I just liked it. It was like cartoons in a paper, and I liked it.
Like, I remember you used to draw, like for real, like, I was thinking back one time, like, did I start drawing because Danielle was drawing, or did I draw because I wanted to draw? And I think you motivated me just from a competitive level. From a competitive level, I think I just wanted to be as good as you or whatever. So I remember you drew like these characters and caricatures, and I tried to do some of my own like that, and I sort of got good at doing that. Like, I definitely remember there was a time.
Oh,
and you were like good at doing, like, you had coloring books.
I did.
And you were good at like staying in the lines and making them look good. So there was a point in time where you were like my artistic rival.
Wow, that's very flattering.
Yeah, they're like, because before the internet, before I knew everybody else could draw, it was like, oh no, like, because then, like, especially like back then, it's like, no, you're the one kid in class who can draw. You know, like, it's like, oh, I'm the guy. And then you learn that there's another kid in some other class who can draw. Like, I'll never forget, it was some chick named Raven, who was another like artist in someone else's class, and she was really good. And I remember just sort of being like jealous or whatever. It's like, people think she's good, they think she's better than me. Like, it was just, and it wasn't like all cocky and braggadocious level, because it wasn't loud like that, but it was just something I would carry with me. And there was this time when at Sanders where they were going to do a mural on a wall. I wonder if it's still there. It probably isn't. But they were going to do a mural, and she got to sort of do that one. And I was like, don't ask me. But I did get to contribute to a different, just a smaller picture that was like by our PE room. And I also got to contribute to our class shirt, because they were thinking of like tagline or something to put on a catchphrase. And I came in there because I had just seen the PJs, and it was the episode where they were like getting a better apartment on top, so they were doing that, we're moving on up, So I came into the class singing that song in front of the teachers, and I did it like with a real like thing, just being silly one day, and then they put that on the shirt.
Wow.
And I still have that shirt.
Okay.
You know, so it's like, so yeah, that all started. Well, it didn't all start, but you were definitely an initial spark of my creative engine.
That's very cool to hear. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like the bubble letter queen. Like I loved writing my name in bubble letters and coming up with different designs for each of the letters.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you were really, like, when I think back, you were really, like, artistically gifted to where it made sense that you were doing that scrapbooking for a while.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I was like, well, yeah, that makes sense. You know, it's just, it's like,
it's
yeah,
on brand.
Yeah, it's on brand. Like, I'm like, yeah, and of course it's great, you know, yeah, it's just like, so yeah, that was, yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks.
You're welcome. What was something else? I did want to ask something on a deeper level.
Okay.
It's not deep, but it's like, for me, it's deep. Because I was thinking on the way over here, you know, as far back as I can remember, like thinking of like how old Cooper is and what it was like when I was that age, I'm like, I don't really remember 4. I kind of turned on at 5. That's as far back as I can go. And it's like, I only really remember like maybe 6 months to a year of my entire family being together. Like what it was like being in the house with Danielle, Dad, and Mom. And it's just like, I only knew that for a little bit of time. What was it like? Can you tell me what it was like being with our entire family?
So going back to your first question, I don't have a good memory. I don't really have a great memory. There are probably lots of pockets of childhood that I don't remember. So, I mean, I was a child myself, you know, when we were all together. I don't really remember that much of a vibe, like what the vibe or feeling was like.
Do you have any like memories that stick out?
I remember watching you. You know, I remember being like a babysitter at 10, you know.
I have one of those memories too, being out in the living room and you doing that thing, giving me raspberries, like.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a memory of that as well.
So, you know, I don't really have like, it's not the answer you want from me, but I don't really have like a ton of memories because that would have been like you were born when I was 6 and we were living here. Yeah, we were living here. You know, it must have been fine because I don't have like a lot of defining like moment type of memories, you know, of that time period. Like, I remember that, you know, in like a 6 or 7-year-old mindset, you know, that you got off a lot easier than I did. You know, I remember Dad giving you a smack on the hand, and I'm like, that's it? I was getting my butt whooped. You know, but so I remember feeling like that. I remember like our house, you know, when we lived here. I mean, when we were living in Horseshoe Creek, and you know, but I don't remember like a lot of like what the feeling was like prior to them getting divorced. I feel like the divorce was a very definable moment for me, you know, and so I have a lot of memories about that time and beyond, you know. I have memories of like things prior, but it wasn't like this is what it felt like, you know, when we were all like one family kind of thing. And you know, I was like a kid, so I don't really I'm seeing things from that lens in my own little world. You know what I mean? Too,
Yeah.
like me and my friends, or being, you know, like things like that. So
I remember, like, I mean, because I think it was I was younger. To me, when I think back on what it was like pre-divorce versus post-divorce, it's a lot the same. Just because I think I was younger, I've always thought maybe it's just because I was younger. Maybe like it hit Danielle a lot harder or something like that. Because I was like, I remember when we used to hang out, and like when I would get to hang out with you, and then we go to our next door neighbors to the left and hang out with that brother and sister. I forget their names.
where
They lived on us to the left. They had like a gray house.
Oh yeah, I remember,
You remember that?
Yeah, and playing in the circle.
Yeah, and that
the
time we like washed our neighbors' cars and got some money. And I remember when Dad would play with Ronell's friends basketball in the driveway.
Yeah.
I remember when I learned how to ride my bike and I was just in the cul-de-sac for like hours, just going around in that circle. I remember, like, I have images and moments in my head.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember us sitting at the table, very, you know, fuzzy, but I remember having to get into that gray, like, booster seat that I had. And it's just like, yeah, I have glimpses in my head.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely, like, I remember going outside and playing and in the cul-de-sac, and yes, we had the family there. There was also a neighbor on the other side. Gary.
I remember him.
Yeah, him, and there was another girl, like, across the way, and then another girl that lived a little bit further up the street, so...
Oh, yeah, I remember you was tight with her. She was on the house on the right.
Yeah, I remember picking, like, honeysuckles from the trees in the backyard, you know. I remember you drawing on the walls, you know, in the house. You know, so those are like some of the
I remember going in your room to play Nintendo, Super Nintendo.
Yeah. So, yeah, those are the kind of things, but I don't really remember from like I mean, I think of those as more like just general childhood memories as opposed to like, this is what it was like when our whole family was together. You know, like in the framework of like, or perspective of like our family being a full unit versus after the divorce, I guess. You know, so, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. I was like, well, maybe she knows more about Mom with Dad than I do because I wasn't there.
I mean, I was like 7, 6. You know, I wasn't really thinking about their relationship.
What would you say is your earliest memory?
I definitely remember stuff when I was like when we still lived in California, and I had a little crew of friends. You know, like preschool, and so I was telling Carrie this story the other day that. We lived in like the Navy military housing when we lived in California, and so I had these twin friends, Sasha. Oh my gosh, Sasha and I cannot believe I forgot the other twin's name. I can't believe I forgot it, but it was. Sasha and her sister, they were twins. Jackie Jenkins. Molly Nelson was my best friend, this little white girl. And we would do like sleepovers, and our parents would like let me sleep over their house, or they would come sleep over, you know, all of that. And so I had this Little Mermaid doll that talked. Like, you pulled the string and it talked. This isn't necessarily my earliest memory, but something that I told Carrie.
Go deep.
But I
it
had
sounds
a
like it's deep.
Little Mermaid doll that I pulled the string on, and it would talk. And I was with my friends at one of their houses, and it was like nighttime. And I have this memory of like a truck of people. I had lost the doll. So I have this memory of a truck of guys driving by, and one of them holding up my doll as if so this is probably something I fabricated in my little 5-6-year-old mind. But I was like, they stole my Little Mermaid doll. Like, I had this image of them driving by with my doll.
Okay.
I'm like, this probably did not happen. But in my mind, it was very real that they had stolen my Little Mermaid doll.
Oh, man.
So there was that.
Did you ever get a new one, or it was just gone?
I don't think so. I think it was gone after that. I mean, Dad teaching me how to ride my bike, you know, when we lived out there, because for a period of time we lived in like an apartment, I think. And anyway, him teaching me how to ride my bike like after school, and him taking me to a store out there, and the guy called me Rudy, which upon reflection is like probably kind of racist. But he would always call me Rudy, you know, and Dad would buy me Twinkies, you know.
The golden age of Twinkies, yeah.
Yeah.
They don't make them like that no more.
And, you know, when we left California, I spent the night over Molly Nelson's house, and she was crying, and I think it was around Christmas time, because she had got me this little porcelain ballerina doll that I kept for the long. I probably still have
I remember that.
Yeah, it's probably still somewhere, maybe at Mom's, or I might have it somewhere. I think the leg is broken, but it was like a porcelain ballerina doll that she gave me as we were like moving and leaving to come across country, and so remembering those things. And
whatever happened to her? Did you ever find her again?
I found her on Facebook, and this was years ago, like probably around when Facebook first came out. Like I might have been a couple years out of college, and yeah, I looked her up, and I reached out to her, and she was like, "Yes, I remember you. I was so sad when you moved." But then I was like looking at her profile, and I was like, it looks like this girl's been through some things, like, you know.
I haven't been the same since Danielle. That was it. That was the day. Yeah.
But yeah, so I had like sent her a message. I cannot believe I can't remember this other twin's name. It was like Sasha and oh my gosh. But anyway, whatever. But yeah. So those are some of the earlier memories. But yeah, definitely probably around like 4 or 5 kind of time frame.
Yeah, that's cool. That's basically all I wanted with the whole tell me something about you that I don't know. Like, just, you know, it's easier to just, for us, because it's like you were alive before me, you know, and it's like, well, yeah, just tell me something that I wasn't around to bear witness to. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for talking with me. I know that wasn't easy, and I could see at first you were kind of like, hi. And
I'm not an on-camera person, but I love you.
I love you too.
I will do this for you.
you know, something before we get off here, how they did sign language in Creed 3, and that meant I love you. So Sharif and I have been doing this all weekend.
Nice.
So I love you. Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But hey, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.